Hello, this is Pete, and I'm gonna try to quickly take you through how I pre-render Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator battles with just insane amounts of units that normally have super low frame rates. So just to start off, I pretty much stole this idea from Brilliant Game Studios video, this 1 million characters at 60 FPS video. Brilliant Game Studios is actually the developer of Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator, and they have this video where they pretty much go through, just like very briefly, what exactly it was that they did to record this epic battle. FPS was 1 to 2, time was slowed during render, then brought back up in post. And I'll show you how I did that exact same thing. This is pretty much all the instruction that you get from them, which is fine. I mean, it's a really awesome video. I suggest checking out. It's totally not a full battle. It's just a minute and a half, but it's really amazing. 1 million characters. Way more than I did. I'm assuming they probably had a dedicated machine that they could do it, whereas I need to actually do stuff on my computer, so I can't let it render that long. So anyway, this is where I got the idea. So how do you actually go about doing FPS 1 to 2, time was slow during render, then brought back up in post? How do you do that? So I'm going to go ahead and, well, okay, we'll start with the recording software. I use Open Broadcaster software. It's actually what I'm using right now to record this video. And right now I'm recording at 60 frames per second. And so whatever your recording software is, you're definitely going to want to, very highly recommended, to try to find a FPS setting for the output of the video before you record anything. So I can't change it right now because I'm recording this video, but this is a drop down, and it's got a bunch of different frames per second values. The lowest that it offers is 10, so that's what I used. Since you're only getting 1 to 2 in the actual game, you don't need anything more than like 5 or so. So I chose 10 because it's the lowest that was offered here. There's probably a way to do even lower. I don't know. Anyway, the reason you want to do that is to keep the file size of the recording low, because your computer's going to be crunching through that for a long time. It's going to be a long video. So if you're recording at 60 frames per second, your file size is going to be huge. So, okay, that's OBS. If you need specific tips on OBS, there's tons of videos out there where I can answer questions or whatever. So anyway, once you hit your start recording thing and you're happy with your 10 frame per second recording, you can start up Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. And we'll wait for a second while that fires up. Okay, here we go. We're loading. Okay, so here's the setup for the video that I posted right before this one. Yeah, I think it was Wednesday. Here's the 345,000 units. Here's the archers, fast archers, customized archer with it's just, yeah, 2x attack speed. That's the only change. Everything else on that unit and in the battle itself, all the rest of these guys are default units. But you can see the arrangement here. Everything's set up. Here's the numbers for each group, all different types of enemies, blah blah, whatever. So normally, if you even get up to 100,000 your frames per second, it's gonna be crazy. So, or crazy low. So anyway, so we'll go ahead and start the battle. And this is gonna take a little bit because obviously it's gonna load in all 345,000 units. And we'll eventually get in. Here we go. And now the loading of the units takes a little bit of time. And frames per second is fine until the units actually start showing up. Still loading, still loading, still loading. Okay, and here we are. Okay. So yeah, I guess we started on the footmen in the back of the castle. But yeah, you can see the insane amount of units here. And this is just the back of the battlefield. This isn't even the main group. But anyway, so yeah, you can see the frames per second at the top left. You know, 2 frames per second is actually really good. But the battle hasn't started. Once the battle starts, then it drops down to 1 consistently. So how do I record this at 60 frames per second? And how did Brilliant Games do it in their video? The answer is pretty simple, really. It's just if you hit escape, time scale up here in the top right. Usually people, when they're doing a normal battle of like, you know, maybe a few thousand units, they'll do 2x just to speed it up and get, you know, just see who wins quicker. But for this, I set it down all the way down to 0.02x, which is basically 2% game speed. So once you enable this mode, which you do with the letter P, the game's gonna be running at 2% speed. And so everything runs at 2% speed, which is great. That includes sound. So later on when you speed it back up, the sound is should sound fine if you speed it up to the right value. So anyway, so I'm gonna hit escape. I'm gonna hit P, and you'll notice that the guys are wiggling around a lot slower now, because they're wiggling around at about 2% speed. So yeah, and the sound will actually scale down once the battle starts. So that actually keeps a consistent frame per second. You'll notice that even if you have your game speed set to normal, or if you have the time scales set to default, even when the battle starts, which I'm going to do right now, things will run about the same speed. So this is 2%, and you can hear the low rumbling. Well, I turned the game sound down a little bit, but you should be able to hear the low rumble. That's really just a normal sound, just really like running at 2% speed and 2% pitch. So you see them slowly moving out. They're moving, and if I hit, I'm gonna go back to default speed. It's probably gonna be about this. Yeah, it may run a little bit faster, but not much. You still gotta render all that stuff. Anyway, so we'll go back down to 2%. So the question is, that's all well and good. You record really slow, but then how do you do all those camera moves? Well, so Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator has a thing called Auto Cinematic Mode. And if you hit escape, and to enable it, you press the letter C. And then it'll just start. This is not me moving the camera at all. And the cool thing is the cinematic mode camera moves at 2% speed. So it also will actually, when you speed it back up, it'll actually be perfectly fine. So what you're seeing right now is literally what my computer was doing for 20 hours on Wednesday. Just doing frame by frame by frame and recording this at 10 frames per second to a file. So I think you probably get the picture at this point. Let me make sure that the time scale's on. Yeah, it is. And yeah, the sounds get a little weird because they're slowed down so heavily. They sound sort of demonic. But anyway, so this is what your computer is going to be doing the entire time it's rendering. And OBS is going to record all of it to a file. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and escape out so I can show you what I do after I'm done recording. This also is going to take a second for me to get out of here. And then escape. And if you're wondering, my computer is a i7 6700 3.4 gigahertz, 32 gigs of RAM, GeForce 1080 Ti, Founders Edition, with SSDs as hard drives. Okay, so now we're back at the desktop. So after it's done recording, you click stop recording, which I'm not going to do right now, obviously, because I'm recording this video. And once that's done, you should see the file show up. I'm not sure what the defaults are, but you do want to check what is it recording? Yeah, I think it is recording. Yeah, so just make sure that your recording path is set to something that you want. And so here's my recording path, and this is the file that it recorded on Wednesday, the 20-hour file. And I'm gonna open that up, and yeah, so this is literally what my computer was doing. What was on my screen for 20 hours? And just frame by frame by frame by frame by frame by frame. Okay, so that's all well and good. You have a 20-hour video now. This is 23. So this is 23 gigs. If I didn't have this set to 10 frames per second, this file would be much larger. So that's the importance of the frames per second setting in OBS. Okay, so now that I have that, what do I do with it? I need to speed it up. I know a lot of people use Photoshop for video editing. Just in case you do, that I couldn't use that because that will only speed up videos by 400%, and we need to speed it up by 5,000%. Because it was recorded at 2% speed, we now need to increase the speed of this video by 50 times, and 50 times is 5,000%. So I found this free video editor called VideoPad, and this will actually let you adjust it to whatever the heck you want, which is awesome. I've already done the speed adjustment here, but when you first come in here, it's set to 100%. This is normal speed, so it'll be the same speed as the video I just played, with a 1 frame per second. But you just do change clip speed. I'm actually going to try 4,000% because I think my math was off on what to speed it up with. But this is all you got to do. You set that, and then once it's set, then you go up here and you go to export. This in the top left here, export tab and video file, and you do create. Just check your path, make sure that's good, check the resolution, frame rate, all that good stuff, and you hit create. Constant frame rate is a good thing to check as well. I'm not going to do it right now because it's going to take a while, and then you'll get the resulting video, which I have in here, I believe. Yeah, so scaled down to a 6 gig file, 24 minutes long. This is actually what I uploaded to uploaded to YouTube. So 5,000% for me turned out to be a little too fast. Everybody sounds like they're sucking on helium. So if you do 0.02x, you probably want to try like 4,000% and see if that works a little better. They sound like Jawas from Star Wars here because of the speed up. But anyway, so that's the basics of how to record a massive battle with 60 frames per second. And yeah, I really like to see what other people can do with this sort of approach. See what huge, massive battles people can do, especially people who may have like a computer that they can dedicate to it, which I can't dedicate for too many hours at a time. So yeah, let me know if you make some. If you have any questions about how to do it or anything like that, let me know in the comments, or just hit me up on YouTube message or whatever. And yeah, I'll see you again. Thanks.